Thank you for voting us Yuba Sutter's best in multiple categories, including financial advisor and wealth management firm for the past 5 years. You can find more information at shawassociatesinc.com or 530-674-1150. Shaw & Associates is proud to support community radio.
Hey, good morning to you. It's 16 after 8 o'clock, and I tell you, when I heard we were going to have a tech expert in here, I wrote up a bunch of list of tech problems we have at the computer, and I lost it. It disappeared.
I won't be solving those.
Way to go, John.
Good morning, Charlie Crocker. Are you the CEO?
I'm the CEO and one of the co-founders of Zonehaven.
Okay. Tell me about yourself. What's your story? Where are you from?
I've never lived east of I-5. I've always lived on the coast of California, and I have spent a bunch of time the last 25 years in the tech industry, working for a variety of different firms, had a couple consulting firms, done a lot of work for state and local government over the last 25 years.
Is that how you kind of fell into the Zonehaven and the need for it, if you will?
We have a bunch of great friends who are in law and fire, and so hanging out with them in the last 5 years as we've seen all these really big wildfires hit in California. They were all in the tents. They were all doing these big evacuations, and they came to us and said there's got to be a better way, a way we can do this more efficiently, more effectively. And so we just started talking with them and doing some experiments until we found out what this idea really was.
Well, the whole idea of the whole tech industry is amazing. Do you drive a McLaren?
I do not.
Okay. So you're not one of those internet billionaires yet.
No, and I don't think I'll get there.
But Zonehaven, excuse my language, my voice that is, Zonehaven is not just in Yuba and Sutter, is it?
Well, evacuations and wildfires and disasters, they really don't know jurisdictional boundaries, right? We don't have a fire that stops at the border of Nevada County and Yuba County. So being able to manage and look at people and help get people out of harm's way across multiple counties, that's mission critical.
Yeah, we've already used this 3 times this year, haven't we?
There's been a couple fires near Beale and in more central Yuba County, and luckily they were put out very quickly, and no evacuation orders actually went out, but it got up to evacuation warning, so people needed to kind of get ready and start thinking about it.
Well, tell me what Zonehaven is.
Zonehaven is a tool that helps firefighters, first responders, law, emergency services folks plan for, train for, and actually execute evacuations. During the last 5 years, we've seen these huge fires, what we call mega fires, and they move quick. The campfire moved a football field a second. Yeah. So you don't look at that point at putting out the fire if it's already gotten that big. You look at helping people get out of harm's way.
Yeah. So that's that was the need for it, and how do you start? How do you start an internet company?
Well, the good news is starting an internet company is a lot easier than it was 25 years ago when you had to buy your own servers and build your own server farm. You can log in and start using Amazon or Microsoft or Google as a platform. And so we were able to very quickly work with our local fire and law folks, build out. We got a grant from the Moore Foundation. We built some sensors. We put them in a field. We ran a bunch of burns with the local fire department and started understanding the evacuation problem. And then just this last year, we had 6 of the most damaging wildfires in California's history just in the last year. And we participated in 2 of those live and helped get over 70,000 people out of harm's way in the Santa Cruz mountains for the CZU complex fire. And that was where we really learned that we were onto something. They were able to execute that, nearly flawlessly. The media, the public were able to see all the same information. One website to go to understand, the advisories.
So
when
minutes are critical for people evacuating.
Seconds are critical.
Now, this isn't just for fire. This is for flooding as well.
This works for flooding. It works for an active shooter. It works for us, not here, but along the coast for tsunami. We're working in Contra Costa County where they have a lot of oil refineries. So
Earthquakes.
Earthquakes. I see earthquakes as really just, a big basket of disaster all happening at once, right? You get a flood, you get a fire, that
Not
kind
too many
of thing.
places to run to.
Exactly.
But how does the public interact with this? How is this? Is this accessible to the public? Is this something that I can sign up for?
So there's two things. One, you should definitely sign up for the Yuba County community warning system through your
Code Red, I think it is.
Yeah, Code Red.
Yes.
Great system. We'll send information to your phone or email. And then you can go to community.zonehaven.com and you can enter in your address and you can get your zone. And that if you enter your address either from your phone, your tablet, or your computer, it'll tell you the status. Is it in normal? Is it a shelter in place? Is it an evacuation order? It'll give you some instructions on what to do or at least what's happening. And then you can go back to that site on a regular basis. And
There's even a weather aspect to it. It'll tell you the weather.
It'll tell you the weather. And for the first responder community, they have access to a whole bunch more information. They can actually simulate some of the fires, get an understanding of the direction that the fire may be going, look at real-time traffic to understand where they might want to put traffic control points, right?
So is this accessible, or is this going on right now in Yuba and Sutter County?
It's going on right now in Yuba and Nevada County. We're in conversation with some of the other surrounding counties around Yuba, and so we're hopeful that this really can start becoming more of a regional solution. Like I said, fire, flood, they know no boundaries. So if you evacuate from Yuba, it's likely you're evacuating into Sutter County or into Nevada County. So having those conversations today before the event.
We're a quasi-one community, if you will. Yuba and Sutter together, like Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Got it.
No, there's not much separates us. And I bring that up because during the threat of the Oroville Dam breaking a few years back, a threat, we all had to evacuate the same area, the same way, and it was kind of a ghost townie. Let's talk about why aren't they signing up?
Oh, it's not. We're a relatively new. We're a relatively new company. I think there's folks that want to see it in use first, and so now that we've been at the CZU Complex fire, we've been used here in Yuba County. People are starting to trust. It's really in this area. People have been doing things for a while.
And if you're like me and you're somewhat on the older side, new technology can sometimes be a little threatening to you, or
so we do our best to just give people access to it.
That's what this is important for.
We've got these magnets here that are for you to know your zone. So what we highly recommend, at least for the community side, is that you go to the site and that you enter in your address and you get the zone number you're in. We did that just before the show here. 93Q is in Marysville, MARs-E 134. So you're in that zone. So
2 streets over, would it still be 134?
Well, downtown is probably going to be. I'd have to look on the map, but it's a pretty small downtown. So I bet it's a really one zone. When you get up into the hills where you get either denser populations in wildland urban interface in high fire hazard areas, that's where you want to be really more subtle about how you get people out. Because
why is it important to know that off the top of your head? Like you said, 1034. For Marysville. Why is it important to know the zone number?
Because if it comes in on a text from your from the Code Red system, you get that on your phone, it says 134, that's you, right? It's time for me to start thinking about getting out of that.
And there'll be information of what the evacuation zones are, where to go.
It'll be, yes. So they'll usually, at a minimum, you'll know you need to leave. So hopefully, living in this area, people are, we live with wildfires. So prepare, get your go bag together, know where your family is, have a place that you're going to meet. Have a second place in case that first place is burning, and then there'll be arrival points or Red Cross shelters and other things, and the agencies can turn those on as well. So ideally, it's like where the event is. You can track it as close to real time as possible. and you know where the safety is. And another thing I just want to say is if you've got folks that are disabled or need a little extra time, when the warning comes, that's a good time to get out, right? Even if it never gets to an evacuation order, because if the roads start to fill up with cars or other things, or people need a little extra time, you got to help them.
Yeah. And that was one of the big things in the campfire. A lot of people that were lost were disabled because of the elderly community up there. And they weren't able to, like you said, a football field a second, that's 100 yards a second. You can't outrun something like that, especially trying to get older folks out of their home. And that's why this is so important, especially in our foothills. We had a pretty big one a couple of years back in Loma Rica.
Yes.
And some of the other places up there. It's always something to be aware of. This is important not just for the foothills. This is important for the low-lying areas too. Yeah,
well, I mean, for the foothills right now, we're in pretty severe drought. We very low snowpack. So this season, a lot of fuel, and that fuel is not very moist, right?
And what I've said before, we've had a lot of people transfer from sales from the Bay Area up to retire up to the communities above here, and they don't have the same infrastructure of firefighting services and providing escape routes that they have more familiar. That's not going to burn as fast as up here, and they need to be made aware of what's available to them so they can tap into these.
And also put the energy and even the financial resources to clear their property and to make sure the evacuation routes are clear. Provide gates. Like if you've got a big piece of property and you can allow people just during an emergency to go through that, you can save lives.
Yes.
Yeah. So this sounds like I need to be prepared. That's the old the Boy Scout adage. Be prepared. In fact, your slogan is "Know your zone" and "I'm prepared."
Exactly.
And, you said 1034 for the MAR 1034.
134.
134.
Maybe we should change it to 93Q.
There you go. But this is important because you can put it on your. It is a magnet. Put it on your.
Put it on your refrigerator.
That's
put it on a Post-it. At this point, whatever it takes, just know it and be aware, because when disaster happens, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. You don't know. You just need to be prepared.
Right. What else? What have we not talked about that you want to make sure people know about this? About Zonehaven, Zonehaven.com.
Well, Zonehaven, from our perspective, we're here to enable law, fire, and OES to work even more closely together, to run these drills and trainings together. But ultimately, I want to make it clear to the community that we're responsible. These folks put so much energy out, and there's just not enough resources really to get everybody out of harm's way. So be prepared. If you see an evacuation, if you hear the high-low siren, just go, right?
Yes. Don't
be the person that they're having to rescue.
Yeah.
The high-low siren being the one that sounds like a British taxi.
Exactly.
So that's something. In fact, the police just tested that. They've got it in all their vehicles now. This is not something like a stationary speaker. They've got it in all their vehicles. So if they're going through your neighborhood, pay attention to that noise.
Yeah, well, often the cell phones or your Wi-Fi is going to be down, and so sometimes the only way to get that information is either through a speaker system or through some sort of siren. So high-low got to go.
And I'm sure there's, I'm just saying, John, I'm sure that up in your different CAL FIRE stations and things up in the area, your substations for county sheriffs, they have information also where you can go and be prepared to know what to do in case you hear or see, or and you know your zone, because you'll know ahead of time which direction, because they'll direct you once you know your zone, where to go, which pieces of property maybe you can go through that aren't main access roads.
Yeah, and we can practice that. I mean, the thing that I recommend highly is that we practice that. So if you have a route, you go to and from work one way, try a different route every once in a while. Just get your head into the game that there are other ways out of
think about when we left for the flood, I mean, everybody was using the same main arteries, and traffic was hours long getting, had it broke, we'd have been stranded in our cars.
That also works for throwing off ninjas. take a different route every once in a while.
Exactly. Exactly.
Don't get the pattern.
Don't be a creature of habit.
Okay, it is 8:29. I want to thank Charlie Crocker, CEO, founder, co-founder, if you will, of the Zonehaven. Know your zone. Go to zonehaven.com or go to Code Red.
Yes.
Just go to your county websites, yuba.org. In fact, that's how I did it this morning. You sign up for Code Red, and you just put in your information in there. Is there a link there on Code Red? I do believe.
There's a link on Code Red, and there's also a link on the Zonehaven site. So if you enter in your information into the community.zonehaven.com, there'll be a link to sign up for the Code Red.
Wonderful. You use your computer more than your phone, don't you?
I do. My kids use their phone more than their computer, though.
Because, no, I would have done that, I would have done this, but you did the keyboard thing, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Charlie Crocker, thank you very much, sir. Any final words?
Really glad to be here. Be safe and get out of harm's way quickly.
This community interview is made possible by Shaw and Associates.
I'm Dave Shaw, President and CEO of Shaw & Associates. For over 65 years, Shaw & Associates has been your trusted local expert for wealth management, tax, accounting, and payroll. Thank you for voting us Yuba Sutter's best in multiple categories, including financial advisor and wealth management firm for the past 5 years. You can find more information at shawassociatesinc.com or 530-674-1150. Shaw & Associates is proud to support community radio.